Hi,
Hi,
besties.
besties.
Welcome back to the Pop. I'm Michelle,
I'm Maddie.
and this is your weekly pop culture podcast.
Woo!
Yeah!
Yeah, like Kermit. Yeah. What week is this? Week
5.
5.
Mm-hmm. And this is our
Damn.
second angel number episode.
Oh yeah, and within the same month too. Also the same angel number. So maybe 222 has some significance for us.
And I have to finish my manifesting board before the night's over, so I have it for today.
I
gotta
have
get
to do
done.
it. I'm just tired. You know, like I have to start it. I'm just tired.
And
I just got home from work.
I didn't really think of like manifesting as that much. And then I did it one night. The next day I got a job interview. Not next day, sorry, like 2 days later. But I was like,
It works. I mean, hey,
interesting.
it works.
Now I'm like,
wonders.
well, let me make my board.
Well, let me make my
I gotta get into
board.
it now. But you know what we should get into, because I just created an amazing segue.
The news.
The news of the week.
The news of the week, yeah.
So like this week wasn't crazy and stuff that's going on. So I'm just gonna go over some highlights.
Okay.
First and foremost, Bob Saget's cause of death has been confirmed and revealed. He died from head trauma and internal bleeding. So I think they're suspecting that he probably fell or hit his head and just decided to go to sleep to try and get rid of the pain, or fell, hit his head, and knocked out. I'm not gonna like go into like theorizing about someone's death, but
yeah, I was gonna say I think they said he was laying in bed though.
That's why I was like, I don't know if that second theory really checks out completely.
Yeah. I feel like he probably was like, let me take a nap before my show, and then
he probably was like, my head hurts, I just want to sleep it off. Yeah. Whatever it might be. And it's confirmed there was no drugs, there was nothing in his body or at all.
I mean, well, that's good. You know, at least it wasn't, you know.
Yeah, almost like it was complete accident.
Which is, you know, kind of crazy. I feel like how many times that happens. Like you never realize how many really tragic deaths and things like that are just accidents.
Yeah.
You know, that could have been prevented, or, you know.
And I think with some like celebrities or people like Bob Saget with like somewhat of a controversial past, we always kind of assume the worst.
Yeah.
So I think it was important, especially for his family and like public opinion, to clear the air and like reveal the official cause, just for like peace of mind and to let everything rest in peace.
Yeah, I agree.
So rest in peace.
Officially. Not officially.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I meant, like, he's officially, like, he and his family can finally be at peace, and, like, there's no question. Yeah. You get, whatever.
I get what you mean, but, like, officially, he couldn't before. He couldn't until now.
Okay, I'm moving on. Anyway, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Not that.
Jake Gyllenhaal has officially spoken about his thoughts on Red Taylor's version.
Wait, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, I have not heard about this.
Well, he doesn't really care, is the response.
Okay.
He's like, she could do whatever she wants. We've all, like, we both moved on. We're both in different parts of our lives now. If this is how she wants to use her art, she can. I can use mine however she wants. Do your thing. Go off, queen.
Okay.
That's a quote. Go off, queen.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
I was like, no way.
No, it's
Jake
not.
Gyllenhaal.
I wish he would. Actually, that wouldn't be that weird to hear Jake Gyllenhaal said, go off, queen.
No, I feel like that's something that he would say.
Yeah. I mean,
but like in a sarcastic way, you know?
No, I think he would mean it in like all seriousness, but he would say it in a way that you're like, ew, you've ruined it.
I don't know. I think I've watched too many Far From Home like PR videos that like I just know his cadence now and like everything. I'm like,
Well, then how would he say it? What's the tone?
I feel like if he was saying go off, queen, it'd be like in a jokey kind of way where he'd be like, go off, queen. Or like, you know, like
go off, queen.
Yeah, literally he'd be like, go off, queen. Like in a BuzzFeed interview, and everyone would be like, oh, Jake, you're so funny, God. Jake. Stop. Yeah.
Some other somewhat problematic men, I should phrase it. Justin Bieber's postponing his tour because he tested positive for COVID.
it was him and like a good chunk of his team, I think, all tested positive. And he was supposed to be performing here. I think, no, that it wasn't the first show that got postponed, but it was like the second or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
damn, Justin.
At this point, if we're honest, I think everybody has gotten it or gotten near it. So I'm really not shocked when like another celebrity's like, we tested positive. I'm like, yeah, it makes total sense. You're like doing concerts and shows and like,
okay, Vanessa
traveling
Hudgens.
a lot. I mean, that quote.
I mean, people are gonna die, and like
that's sad.
It's really sad, but like, what are
inevitable?
we supposed to do? Yeah, but inevitable.
She was Thanos. Thanos wishes.
She is the inspiration for Avengers Endgame.
Honestly, she could do Thanos, and Thanos could never do Gabriella Montez.
Gabriella, no. Mm-mm. Or Rizzo.
Speaking of High School Musical, Olivia Rodrigo. Do you see that segue? I'm on it today.
Segue.
Anyway,
I saw the segue.
Thank you. Olivia Rodrigo announced that she has a documentary about her album Sour coming out on Disney Plus. Some reason, like, there's a lot of like documentary, or I don't want to say like documentaries because that's not necessarily true, but I feel like maybe it's just Olivia Rodrigo, but like getting this kind of like icon praise on the first album always seems like not a red flag, but just seems like worrisome, because when your second album comes, you're never going to be able to top what happened to your first one. So if I was in her shoes, I'd be like, let's not do this for like the first album.
I mean,
you guys, it's like my second year doing this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I mean, look at Billie Eilish.
Yeah,
she got the same thing. The thing is, I feel like there's a difference of like your album being icon status and you being icon status. Yeah, right.
I think both is happening to Olivia.
I think both is happening to Olivia a little bit, but not like, I don't see her as an icon.
Oh, I'm not saying like
at all
that, but I just feel like
like the Sour album is iconic. Like, that's iconic, and like that kind of era is iconic, versus, and not to like pit them against each other, it's just because they happen to be similar. Like Billie Eilish is like an icon of this period,
which is kind of crazy, like looking at the amount of like product, I guess you could say, she has.
Yeah, that's what I mean, is like she had all that stuff happen within one album and one EP. Yeah, now two, and whatnot, but like before,
that's what I mean, is I think crazy because she's on the second album and everyone's like, she's a flop already, and you're like, it's her second album.
Yeah, like, people are ridiculous.
Like, that's why, like, you want the praise, you want the number one, but then I'd also be scared. I'm like, how are you supposed to like move up from number one?
Yeah, that's always like a difficult spot to be put in, I feel like, is when your first big thing is the big thing.
I know, Lil Nas has a quote where he's talking about how people always say, like, you'll never be able to top Old Town Road. And his response is, you can't, like, nobody can top Old Town Road. Duh. Nobody can.
Yeah. So I mean, that's he's a good example. I remember I literally was like, I don't know what he's going to release, how he's going to release anything. Like, nothing's going to be that. Yeah. Which, like, again, that's kind of a good thing and a bad thing, but like, it's
maybe
just
like it is accepting that that's gonna be all that, like, what it is, and maybe I don't know, it'd be also interesting to see what she does after. What is interesting about this headline, though, which I don't know, maybe I was being petty and a little drama frenzy, but the day they announced the documentary is coming out was the same day that Sabrina Carpenter released her highly anticipated single, Fast Times. And now, mind you, Sabrina Carpenter has been talking about the single, doing interviews, press for it, for like, I feel like over a month. Like, more than I've seen this girl do for a lot of other projects. Yeah. The day before the song comes out, they put out like a Olivia Rodrigo teaser for like 10 seconds. And then the day the song comes out, they announce what's going on. And I was like,
literally.
That was petty.
I kind of live for it. It was fucked up.
Petty.
Like, it is fucked up, but I live for it. Like, I was like,
like, I don't really know how much it really took away from her release.
Yeah, it really
didn't, because I didn't really see anyone talking about it. But I thought it was petty, and I kind of lived for it.
It'd be different if, like, she released the actual, like, documentary the day of.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like, people thought it was gonna be like a new song or something like that.
I thought it was gonna be a new song or like a new video or something.
Yeah.
Like that's what I assumed. But yeah, I mean, at least it's just the trailer.
I mean, I can't tell if I would have loved it or hated it.
I would have been mad, but I would have lived for it.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm like I can't decide if like I actually am like genuinely happy about this or if it's just like get her Jade.
Like she would have been the real life interpretation of I'm not the villain.
Yeah.
Am I the villain?
Literally, am I the villain?
I'm not
Sabrina
the villain.
Carpenter.
That is
a
both
whole.
of them at the
That was
same
her
time.
last year. That was Joshua Bassett last year.
Joshua Bassett.
Am I the villain?
No, Joshua Bassett was crying in the corner. And
he was literally in the hospital.
Both of them were sitting there going,
crying, throwing
is it
up.
me? Am I the drama?
I don't think I'm the
drama.
Am I the villain? I don't think I'm the villain.
Speaking of drama, that's right, another segue.
Did you rehearse this?
No, I actually didn't. I'm not even reading in the order that I wrote it down. I'm kind of
you do this and it's like easy, clear segues, and then there's me writing down the news and I'm like, okay, so I went down my list and I skipped a few. I'm gonna go back. And so now just completely hopping to a different pathway. Like I wish I could do that. I can't improv for shit.
Sorry, theater kid alert.
Okay, I was in Beauty and the Beast.
Sorry.
Okay.
It's okay. Right. Speaking of drama, like Beauty and the Beast, the Elvis trailer has officially been released, starring Austin Butler and Tom Hanks. Now, this has been in the works for
like 10 years.
He got cast definitely before 2020. Mm-hmm. So they had to film this probably during the pandemic, is what I'm thinking then.
They totally did.
Yeah.
I'm like 99% sure that they did. But
and now, if you've seen the trailer, look, we all know Austin Butler could act. Like, we knew it. Like, if you saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you're like, oh, that boy can act.
He's underrated. Yeah.
The voice.
Yeah.
The dialect. He opened his mouth and I was like, who was that?
Harry Styles didn't stand a chance.
Harry auditioned for that?
Yes. Do you not remember? That was like a big deal that he was like one of the like last kind of like front runners for the role.
I think Miles Teller auditioned as well.
Ooh, I could see him being good too.
Which I think Miles Teller looks more like Elvis than Austin Butler does. Like, even with all the makeup and whatnot.
I feel like Austin kind of looks like him, but not like, I don't know.
He
like
does,
they look like him,
but he also doesn't. Like, you see, like, that's Austin Butler as Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
You know? But what I thought was interesting is they do so much makeup on Tom Hanks. There's so much in prosthetics, and none on Austin Butler to try to make him look more like Elvis, or is none that you can really see.
Which is weird. I wonder if they're just being like, you know what? Let the pretty boy do his thing.
Whatever. They're like,
the voice will carry it.
It's him.
And isn't there a thing like he's he recorded like songs, like he's covering them, singing them himself?
Yeah, he's gonna sing. I believe they said about 3 songs will be his own voice.
I feel like he's probably gonna do Can't Help Falling in Love with You.
I'm assuming they'll be pretty like early on, or like acoustic versions, things that they can't use like recorded versions of. Because I think they did the same thing with Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody, where it wasn't like full songs, but it was parts and versions that they couldn't really take from pre-recorded things.
I also remember hearing that for Bohemian Rhapsody, they would take him, like he would record the song, like listening to the song, and then they would like mesh their voices together, like overlap them.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's what's going on with this.
Maybe.
Because they've just released a trailer, so I'm sure more information will come as it keeps going. But I'm excited. The other exciting part is it looks like this trailer will touch on kind of like the history of Black rock and roll, and really where Elvis's inspiration, a lot of his music comes from.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that that's a part of the story and not just like 10 minutes and then we moved on and now we're back to like Elvis and glitter. Like, I think that would be a more interesting story to tell.
Yeah, because that part of his story and just that part in general of music is overlooked so much, because rock and roll literally came from Black jazz musicians who then started to and blues musicians who then started to like make rock and roll. Like it literally happened from there. So I hope that that's a big part of it because that was a big part of him.
Yeah.
Like
I feel
that's
like
just, I feel like a lot of people, not a lot of people don't know that, but like if you asked like a general audience who don't know a lot about Elvis, I feel like they would have no idea. So
yeah.
I'm intrigued to see if they do that.
And just certain parts about Elvis's life. Will we talk about Priscilla and her age? Like, what are we going to edit out? What will we keep in? Are we viewing Elvis as like a legend, or do we view him as a person? Like, I always think biopics are interesting, especially when the person is passed.
Mm-hmm.
I guess both, when they're still here and when they've passed. Like, how does their presence affect how the story is going to be told?
Yeah. Also, if they can put in or like have an input of whatever and how they're portrayed, that's always interesting. But
that's why I really think like the biopics of like the 80s rock stars, let's do them now while we can get their versions of stories, or in like a way of respecting them.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree. I like, to be honest, I haven't watched I think it's The Dirt is the Motley Crue one, but I'm really intrigued with that one because they were not great people towards like the general public, and I know that they portray them in that way. Like they're not glamorizing them at all. So I don't know. I feel like it's cool to like to see if those members of those bands were saying like no, like
I mean, I know Tommy Lee, like, not that he's a good person, but he's like willing to admit some shitty things that he's done in his own memoir. He was like, but he got Pamela to come and say like all the shitty things he did. Like,
yeah.
So it'll just be interesting. I'm excited for the movie. It's Baz Luhrmann.
I was just gonna say.
So
it's Baz Luhrmann.
So
listen, my favorite Baz Luhrmann movie, The Great Gatsby. Honey, I love The Great Gatsby.
Which I don't know why. I was like, oh, the soundtrack for Elvis is gonna be insane, and I was like, it's gonna be Elvis music.
Well, it's gonna be Elvis music, but like I'm sure the whole soundtrack is gonna be good because they're gonna incorporate songs from that time.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they're also gonna do like a Bohemian Rhapsody type thing where they get artists to cover Elvis's stuff as like singles.
That will be sick.
Yeah, to like raise money, because that I'm in for. Yeah. I'm in for that. Get Miley Cyrus on the soundtrack now.
You know who they should get?
That was a money button.
Beep, beep, beep. You know who should they get?
Who?
Kelly Clarkson.
Get Kelly Clarkson for anything. I love her.
And that was called a segue, because my next news point is about Kelly Clarkson.
Not just waiting, the silence. And that's what we call a segue, ladies and gentlemen.
So, Kelly Clarkson may be changing her name, dropping the Clarkson.
I saw. And I'm not very happy about it, but also good for you, girl.
Yeah, she might be changing it to Brienne, I think is how they'll pronounce the last name. To be fair, I've never heard that name out loud. I've only seen it written, so I'm really just sounding out the vowels.
Isn't it? It's like her middle name or something?
I believe so.
Yeah.
The theory that I saw was that she'll probably keep Clarkson professionally, and then legally it will be Brienne, or however they pronounce it.
Yeah. I feel like whenever you have a name that is so iconic and tied to you when you're in the public eye, it never works when you try to legally change your name. You know?
Like, think of like Kim Kardashian.
Think of like, Kanye.
Although she could be Kim Kardashian again and drop the West, there's so much branding and there's so much trademark she's put in with KKW.
Yeah.
That it's not gonna, she could do it, but it's not gonna stick. I think like people will continue to call KKW KKW.
Yeah.
Like they won't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I was gonna say, even think of Kanye. His name is now officially Ye, but everyone still calls him Kanye and Kanye West. Like, I don't know.
So, I mean, good for her at a personal level, but I like Clarkson, the brand.
Yeah. What about the Kelly Clarkson show?
What's going to happen?
Girl, what are you going to do? Hello?
KC, baby.
KC.
The last bit of news, I want to talk again about Euphoria. I didn't have a segue. We just kind of had to bring it up. I don't know if we should jump into the episode yet, because next week will be the finale of Euphoria. And maybe then will be the time to really jump into everything that's happened in the show.
Yeah, we could do a whole Euphoria episode next week.
If that's something you guys would be interested in, we could definitely do that.
Because we could talk about this forever.
So you have to let us know if that's something you'd be interested in.
Yeah.
But for now, we're just going to talk about more of Sam Levinson being weird.
He freaks me out, man.
And now I have to say this. I don't know if like he's really going to get full credit for the cinematography, but I feel like the director does have some say in like cinematography and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't say shit about that.
No.
We can't. I can say that he's maybe done some weird things and written some weird things, but the look,
the aesthetic of the show is
I will
always...
give you your flowers for that one, Sam.
Yeah.
That one.
I feel like the cinematography and the lighting is always really, really
yeah,
well
especially this
really
last
well
episode 7. I was like, oh my God.
And like the way that they would transition from the stage to backstage and like back and forth, like, you know, we'll get into it more, but like that alone, I was like, wow.
Yeah, my really quick note is that like if theater had more money, that is what theater would look like. You know what I mean?
High school production is realistically gonna look like that.
But like in everyone's head, like that is what their shows look like.
Yeah.
But they don't get the budget. But it's fine. It's fine.
Maybe that's the whole point, is that it's glamorized, so that's what she thinks it's gonna look like.
Yeah. Okay, wait. I have to save everything I want to say for next week, and I'm gonna like write it down so I don't forget, because I don't want to spoil it. But just talking about Sam Levinson. So the actress, another actress, this is the 4th one, has now come forward, not accusing him, but saying that he had planned for her to be naked in a scene, and she said it did not feel right. This actress, I blanking on the name, as we always do whenever we have to name an actress.
Minka Kelly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Saying that originally she was supposed to be naked in the scene, and she said that she did not feel that's appropriate. Another actress that said she was supposed to be not naked, but the scene was supposed to have more nudity, was the actress playing Lori. Said she was supposed to take Zendaya's clothes off for her.
Yes.
Sydney Sweeney was the other actress that's also said Sam had written many more nude scenes for her, and she said that it didn't feel necessary. Alexa Demi has also said, not including nudity, but that she had originally been told that she was going to have a much more like intimate and sweet scene, and it turned into more of like a torture porn.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Originally, and I guess this is a spoiler, so alert if you have not watched
spoiler alert!
Entire 2nd season thus far. In the scene where Maddie gets the CD of Nate's dad, originally the plan was that Maddie would give it to Jules herself, or she would give it to Jules without knowing it's from Maddie, and with a note that's saying like, I think you should have this, and like a way for these 2 girls to connect. Yeah. But instead it was rewritten as Nate pulls a gun on her, and essentially is like, I don't even want to go into like how horrendous that scene got in order
fucking scene
for him to just give it to Jules.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, okay, I could save it for next week. I'll save it for next week.
And then the next actor,
what am I on?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the 5th actress that also said Sam Levinson beef would be Barbie Fura as Kat.
I'm team Barbie.
Nobody has confirmed this beef other than like rumors that have left set. Neither party will confirm what happened. But after everybody else's comments, I would believe it without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, and also with the way that her storyline looks and the amount of screen time that she's gotten this season. Yeah, because that's what the whole fight is apparently between the 2 of them, is what her storyline would have been. And she did not want it, which I think for a great reason.
Yeah. So, and like, if you also think about it, like, so many characters are missing that were made out to be very important from the 1st season. I don't know how much I should say yet. Maybe I should let people binge before that.
Well, we can do something next week.
Yeah.
We can do something next week, and that's your warning.
We'll kind of have to because I will be buzzing and vibrating and I'll have to talk about it.
Quite literally, I don't know. Oh my God. We're not going to
What?
be in town.
No, we're coming back before the episode comes out.
I know, but I'm saying like, oh my God.
We'll be back.
Sorry.
Oh, spoiler, we have a trip coming.
We're going on a girls trip. We're going on a little girls trip. Oh, we can say this. On this girls trip, we will be seeing the wonderful, the classic, the never been done before, Silk Sonic at their first show ever. Ever.
Period.
At the MGM Grand, baby.
Work, slay,
live,
all of it. Pose, you know. I am very excited. Today I was literally pulling out my outfits planning.
Yeah. I literally, like, on my way home from work, you know, like at a stoplight, I promise it wasn't when I was driving. I was thinking, I was like, oh my God, I have to like screenshot stuff. Like I have to like make like a little folder so that I can figure out what to wear. Cause yeah, I will be wearing gold though. My mom is so cute. Wow. She like today she was like, oh my God, because I came home, I went shopping, I came home, and she was like, Maddie, look what came in. And my mom, just for context, doesn't know how to work Spotify, so she resorts to CDs, and she literally got the Silk Sonic CD and the Greta Van Fleet CD and a Stick CD and everything. But she was like, look at I'm getting ready because she's going with us. So she loves Bruno Mars so much. He's on her bucket list, and she might be freaking out more than I will.
I actually can't believe that I'm going to see Bruno Mars, considering how expensive and impossible the tickets are to see Bruno Mars on tour.
Yeah, he's like one of those that I feel like
bucket list item for me too.
No, literally, I feel like he's one of those artists that like once you see him, you're like, okay, that it's kind of like a Beyonce moment where like if you see yeah, like it's so impossible to think that you could see this person. Then once you do, you're like, okay, that's enough. Like I don't need to see them again.
Yeah,
you know, I've seen Bruno Mars, but it's because it was Lollapalooza and like he was there, so I was gonna go. But I can't wait.
I'm very excited. And you guys can come along, I guess, if you want to join. Yes, but to do so, you're probably going to have to subscribe and follow. And as always, everything's linked in the link tree in the bio or below in this video if you are watching with us this week.
Also, if you have any recommendations for Vegas, let us know, because we've never been once we were legal. So
like 21 legal.
Yeah, 21 legal. Like I really don't know what to do there.
It's Vegas. I'm sure we'll be able to find something.
We'll find stuff, but I just want to know if there's anything that like people are like, oh my God, this is a must. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I guess I can kind of make another segue. Speaking of fantasies.
Wait. Oh no, never mind.
What?
I wanted to be like, guys, look at my shirt, and I was like, fantasy. Just kidding. Fantasy is Mariah Carey.
Oh.
But it's Britney Spears. Look it. I'm wearing Britney.
It's Britney, bitch.
It's Britney, bitch. I love it. Yeah.
Oh,
I thought it was fitting for
different kind of
podcast.
segue. That works.
What were you saying?
Oh, I was trying to think of a segue. It's fine.
Oh.
It didn't really work. I have to go back to my original plan.
Oh, wait. This is news.
Okay.
Britney Spears signed a freaking, I think it's like $15 million deal for a memoir book.
Yeah. Oh, that deal. I'm going to tell you something. That was a steal.
Uh-huh.
Whoever got that money, that was a steal.
They said that this is like one of the highest paying book deals to ever have been made. I think it was this and then the Obamas are right above her.
And I still think that was a steal.
Mm-hmm.
That was a
I would have paid $100 million for this top secret information, Britney.
Britney from the Fairly Odd Parents. Well, I guess here's my segue. Speaking of books, today's episode, we want to talk a little bit about fan fiction.
Yes.
And just a lot of, I guess in a way, there's a lot of history with fan fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot still going on.
Yeah.
So I think we should start with, I don't want to say the most famous because it's not, but maybe one of the biggest and most controversial in modern times after from Wattpad. There's a couple. Hold on. So here's the dealio. I will be honest with the internet and say I am familiar with the fan fictions of the One Direction era.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that like I was an avid reader because I'm not an avid reader. I have like 3 books on my shelf that I'm like, yeah, I read that one. The rest I'm like, ooh.
They're like, what's your favorite book? You're like, oh,
this book I read a few years ago. But I am very familiar with the fan fictions of the time. I'm familiar with their controversies.
Yeah,
Some of the plot lines. So not to say between the two of us that I
you are more well versed than I am.
Yeah. So
For sure.
So I would say I think the fan fiction universe, the Wattpad universe, the Tumblr fan fiction.
The Wattpad universe, the WCU.
WCU, baby. What I can see, I think grew the most during that like 2013. Honestly, I think to like 2016 period.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will never forget our freshman year of college. I found a Maddie B raps fan fiction. And I brought it to this guy that lived in our dorm floor, and I was like, you have to look at this.
Well, because context-wise, we joked about Maddie B with this guy. So not just a random kid on our floor being like, Maddie B, you have to.
And I was like,
you have to read this.
Look at this.
Read it now. Like, there's.
And it was appropriate. It wasn't anything inappropriate. I would just like to be clear.
No.
It was just like Maddie B. Anyway, but let me just start by there are a couple different versions of fan fictions that if you were curious, I'll kind of break them down for you.
Here's a little guide. Here's your fan fiction guide. First,
there's the fan fiction novel format, which is almost like a book, which I would like to say the girlies of the One Direction era writing these fan fictions.
They put it in.
They were in AP Lit. They were English majors.
They got a 5 on the AP test.
Their plot, their ideas, their concepts. I was like, oh, you guys like thought really hard about this one.
Mom couldn't afford you. So she sold you.
No, there are some ones where I was like, how did you like come up with this idea?
Yeah.
Literally, let me just be clear. The One Direction kidnapping and being sold to One Direction fan fiction, that idea is so iconic. It is like literally go like hashtag One Direction on TikTok, and I promise you scroll 20 times and you will find somebody referencing that. I promise you will see it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe actually, like, how many people wrote on that concept.
Yeah. Like, I want to know who the mastermind was that, like, originally made it up.
And also, like, it is so demented.
I know. The thing is, the person who wrote this was probably, like, maybe 12 years old.
That's what's so demented about it. It is. It's a lot. And they were we love Stockholm Syndrome. We eat that up.
That's why One Direction wrote their hit, Stockholm Syndrome.
Honestly, I would not be surprised if that had, like, something to do with it.
Yeah.
If there was something involved.
I have a feeling that those guys read some of these fan fictions. So I feel like they at least knew a little bit. They knew a little, you got bought out by the boy band.
You know, out of all of them, you know who would, like, actually, like, know it?
Niall. Are you gonna say someone else?
Like, as I was saying that sentence, all of a sudden I was like, oh, it'd be Liam. And then the next thought, I was like, no, it'd be Niall. And then the third thought, I was like, no, it'd be Louis, obviously. Like,
it's just anyone but Harry and Zayn.
No, they would have no fucking clue.
They would have no idea.
But anyway, so like the novel, the long format chapters, they would be released like literally like it was the 1800s, and chapters would get released every week, like at the Frankenstein, all these other. I don't think Frankenstein was released like that actually. It
was like a newsletter.
Yeah, but actually in the old days, that's how books would get released. Every chapter would come out like bi-weekly, and you would get it. So I was like, oh my god. The other formats you might see are like Imagines, which are normally like. Imagines could be anywhere from like a page to like a little like picture with like 2 sentences on it. Where it's like,
Sorry.
imagine like Louis picked you up and like to get to. I'm so sorry. I'm trying really hard to like speak on this like without laughing.
Sorry. For the people listening, I just want to let you know I pulled up this famous Imagine. Imagine Niall Horan crawling inside your ear. You tell him to stop, but he is in there.
There are so many. Okay, or like I also saw there are imagines that were like a couple paragraphs. Anyway, the other versions you might see are like POVs. POV specifically stands for point of view, which like yeah, if you took an English class, you know. But these point of views were like your POV, like Liam's taking you out to get dessert.
Or okay, but like, remember when like the Wattpad POV kind of like moved over to Polyvore, and then Polyvore, you got to make outfits for the date that you were gonna go on.
I lived that.
So
I lived through, and they were like, "Oh, based on like your zodiac sign or like the like when you like a picture, if it's an even or an odd number." Oh my god, I lived for it.
Yes.
Especially if it was like an ugly number, I'd be like, not liking it.
You're like, I'll unlike it later.
I don't like that outfit. Moving on.
Yeah.
So that was a big one. Other ones you might see if you're searching the internet, one shots, which I'm 90% sure this is the one shot. I'm pretty sure it's like they throw you a concept, which this feels like an AP writing concept.
Yeah.
Like you're given like a concept and you write on like a one idea. So you don't go into more of a plot. Like you're just like, you got arrested, go. And like you have like a paragraph to write about them getting arrested.
That honestly, it kind of sounds like a fun party game. I'm not even gonna lie.
Wait, I made up a game, just so everybody knows. I spent like 2 days. I made up a game where you have to like advocate for your celebrity crush. So maybe I should add to the game. No, it's like there's like a full, like it's a 2-hour game you can play.
Yeah.
We should add in, you have to do a one shot.
I'm so in. I'm so in. That'd be really
fun.
The
game I made, literally, you have to prep for it for like a week.
You know what I'm gonna do? You just said you got arrested. Sammy Kiska goes to federal prison for minor with possession.
You know what? What are these episodes we should really play my celebrity crush game?
I'm in.
Yay!
We should have special guests.
Oh,
to be honest.
Okay.
I'm so in. Okay. Getting ahead of ourselves. Okay.
But back to fan fiction.
Yeah.
And so like if you go to Wattpad, you could literally, I'm telling you, look up like a celebrity. Let's say Sammy Kiska. Let's just say. Literally, you could look up Sammy Kiska Imagine, and you would find like a book that every chapter is like a different Imagine, one shots, POVs, or you can look up like, I don't know, just Sammy Kiska fan fiction. You'll find like the novel format. So
the way that this is like a lesson for me too, because like I just know the ideas of fan fiction, and like I know that you can find them on Wattpad and Tumblr, but I've never like gone and looked
Tumblr
for
ones were like the most annoying to look at, because it was like the format. It's annoying on a computer. I'm just gonna say that.
Okay.
Because like, have you ever had to read like an article on a computer?
Yeah.
Sorry, I moved the mic away from my face. Or is it easier on your phone? It's easier on your phone to read an article.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because you scroll.
I'm also really good at skim reading. So like the other night when I was talking to Maddie about this like a week ago, I was like, Maddie, I'm gonna look up Greta Van Fleet fan fiction.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna like read it for you so you can like understand what I'm talking about.
We're also like drunk.
Yeah. But I think I read like 2 or 3 fan fictions in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I can get through this.
I was sitting there
fast.
like, God damn.
So, but that's like the different formats you can get when you're looking at the fan fictions. So again, I will say this. I think the One Direction girlies were the king queens of the Wattpad universe.
Yeah.
They were.
Well, because when you think about it, I mean, genuinely, I don't think I've ever heard of fan fictions. And again, this could just be like, I'm not in the right fan bases anymore. But like, I don't hear of
not like this
fan fictions really, unless it's like a boy band. Or like Marvel, maybe.
I feel like not. Okay, I don't want to say this in an insulting way. I don't really know who's listening that's like a fan fiction advocate, but like not as high quality.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like these were like phenomenons. These like,
have
people were anticipating every week. Like I saw this stuff on Twitter constantly.
Yeah.
Like these were like you had to try to avoid these, to be honest. Like even like you didn't look into them, but you knew they were there.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Like I knew like basically the extent of what it was about.
Yeah.
And like the name, characters, like I knew it just from knowing about it, not even like reading it or like, you know, being in it. Like it's just that's what it was.
Yeah.
Everyone talked about it.
And they got a lot of shit. Like the fan fiction writers, readers, I think got a lot of shit. But in reality, Hamilton is a fan fiction. Six is a fan fiction. It is. And you can't tell me it's not. It is. Six, the musical, is a fan fiction. It is. It is. It is.
It's a straight up Hamilton is a fan fiction.
Am I lying?
Miranda,
Did I lie?
You know what else is like almost kind of a fan fiction? Spider-Man No Way Home.
Bitch, basically all of the MCU is a fan fiction. It's based on another piece of work and they created the story.
They took these characters and they're
yes. Yes.
What can we write about?
And they just like made something up. And they like took their own yes, it is.
I'm so stuck on
Assassins is a musical all about the like presidential assassins. Or I think, I didn't watch the musical. That's a fan fiction.
I misheard you and I thought you said Fast and Furious the musical and now I need it like immediately. I need a song, like a ballad called Family.
Got friends, I got family.
I'm gonna write a Fast and Furious musical now. I need it.
I mean,
like this is something I need.
But like my point is they got a lot of shit when really like Lin-Manuel Miranda writes fan fiction. And you know what's more embarrassing? He wrote about the founding fathers. Like,
wait a minute, is this fucking play about us?
Lexi Howard wrote fan fiction.
Yeah. Kat wrote fan fiction. Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Which we should get into a little bit. So, but speaking of like fan fiction and their writers, we're also going to talk about the subjects. So we talk about probably like the most controversial fan fiction I can think of like 3. I can think of After, which we'll talk about in a second. I can think of Dark, which was another Harry Styles fan fiction.
Why was Harry like the one?
Also, the amount that they wrote that Harry was like this abusive person is kind of insane.
Again, it was always he was toxic and like alcoholic, like
where you're like, oh, are you?
Do you think it's because he had tattoos and like, wore the skinny jeans and the boots? Like they were like.
But Louis was never that guy when they. I was like, I don't know.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like maybe it's because he like, I don't know. It was always him.
The last controversial one that's also toxic. There was a God forgive me, a Zux fan fiction. Do you remember this?
That just took me back. Guys, this is bad.
This one is probably like where it goes to like the line of like, oh, they're a toxic person to like this is not okay.
Like this is just purely disgusting. Like
there was a baby that was within the One Direction like group named Lux at the time, Lux, a child of one of the people on their team, and somebody wrote a fan fiction of that baby and Zayn.
That's so fucking disgusting.
And think about now what it must have been like to be the mother of that child, 2 Zayn.
Can you imagine being Zayn?
Could you imagine? Like,
that's
what
why
do you
laughed.
say? What do you do?
Yeah.
Too much.
So imagine being that kid. She's like what, like 11 now?
I hope the internet has been scrubbed clean. It hasn't.
Like,
but
what if she finds out about that? Please. That's just disgusting and so uncomfortable and like.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about fan fiction as a whole. Like genuinely, like myself, it makes me uncomfortable because I just think about these people like being people.
Yeah.
And their face and name is basically all it is, like that they're using, right? Like they don't know anything about this person, who this person is. So like I guess like I understand it, but like it makes me so uncomfortable.
In the innocent sense, I get that you're kind of just taking a face and a look of a person and using it to make a character. Like the Harry in After is not Harry Styles. Like we are all well aware that those are 2 different people, but you're using the persona and the look and the aesthetic to basically like have a picture of like, look, this is what they look like. Just so you guys know.
Yeah.
Like, that is how they would move, but they have, like, a different personality, and they're a different person with different history.
Yeah.
Like, that's the innocent way to look at it.
It is. That's the innocent way, but like it's also like I don't know. Like I understand why people read it. Like I can get the appeal behind it, but like it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I can't imagine like a ton of people writing stories about you and you being a character just in someone else's stories. I don't know.
And well, we have some proof of how some people felt. For one, we know how Harry felt about After. After, if you don't know, it was a trilogy, I believe officially a trilogy on Wattpad, was then published like a real book, which I think then became a 4-piece book.
Yeah.
But they legally had to change all the names from like Harry, Liam, Zane to something like Hardin, Landon, whatever the rest of their names are, whatever.
Yeah.
For legal reasons. And I believe the legal reasons are Harry sued. Harry was like, no.
Well, yeah, can you imagine getting depicted as this toxic, abusive, alcoholic, like everything?
Yeah, good for him on that level. Also, like, he wasn't going to make money off of
it. Yeah.
He was like,
fuck y'all.
Write me a check.
He's like,
I'm getting the money one way or another.
Yeah, he was like, excuse the fuck out of me.
And now this is something that Maddie can speak on because I did, in fact, make her watch at least the first 2 After movies because I am a fan of bad movies and campy movies. And if you're looking for, like, a bad, campy, fun movie,
watch them.
I'm not gonna lie. Like,
they're fun. It's fun to watch. I think, honestly, if I wasn't a One Direction fan, it wouldn't be as fun to watch them because then you look at this person and you're like, oh, that's supposed to be Liam. Oh, that's supposed to be that person. And it's like fun to like make fun of it in that way. But like if you aren't a fan of it, it's just like a cheesy, crappy,
it's a bad movie.
It's
one of those movies you
but
gotta
it's also
talk
fun
through.
to make fun of. Yeah. Literally, it's like us doing commentary throughout the entire thing. Like we watched the second one the other night and we were just sitting there and I was like, is that Niall? Fucking Trevor? Like
you're toxic and you're bad news. You're toxic and you're bad news.
I want to get that clip. Just
hold on.
Also, for reference, the man saying that is Dylan Sprouse.
Because you're toxic and you're bad news.
Like we need to post that clip on the pop because that alone is the best part of I mean I haven't seen all of them, but like out of the 2 that I've seen, just that clip alone, that and fucking Trevor are the best parts of those movies. So thank you, Dylan Sprouse.
Like maybe this is why I was so intrigued to FanFiction because I love just like the ridiculousness.
Yeah.
Where I was like, what the hell is going on? Yeah.
You just have to like write it out, go with it.
Which is why like we kind of have that, I don't want to say like a duality, but there's a duality of like your interpretation when you're on the outside of it. You're like, oh, it's stupid, whatever. And then like if you're in Harry's shoes where you're like, I don't want to be depicted as somebody like this, nor do I want like a camp baby a movie people are making fun of associated with me, especially when you're like on the rise and you're trying to become like a serious artist.
I hope that Harry has after movie nights.
Honestly,
if I were him,
so fun.
I so would. Like I wouldn't take it as serious. I mean, honestly, I might, but when the movies come out, like they're all out.
It's one of those things where we talked about, like you can ride the meme, or you can run from it.
Literally,
and we'll see what happens.
Like the ultimate version of that.
Another like very toxic fan fiction that had more real life repercussions would be some of the Larry fan fiction, which sorry to like do some more educating. But
and also, sorry, it's like all One Direction. This is just like.
But like, I do have
wheelhouse.
Like points of where I'm going, so we can.
Yeah.
We're getting to other stuff. I promise.
We're getting to it. I promise.
So Larry Stylinson was supposed to be like the ship name or the couple name of Harry Styles and Louis Tomlinson, because people believe they were in this relationship with each other and still do. To the point that I think they've both, I don't know if Harry has, but Louis has definitely publicly said that it hurt their friendship and it almost ruined their relationship on a platonic level with each other.
Yeah. Which, like, obviously, yeah. I mean, like, imagine you, not even just, like, on their platform that they're at, like that level of all these people, but just like if everyone around you is like, oh, they're dating, oh, they like each other, they like,
Yeah.
you know, like whatever, and you're
Especially
like
when
really
you're in
good
other
friends.
relationships.
Yeah, like when you have that, then you add on the fact that they were so young, and like that's not true, and like, you know, like a confidence thing, it probably really fucked with them. And then a third level of like, you are at this huge platform, you know, like with thousands and millions of people watching you, and like that's a huge pressure.
You're also
You
a
know,
young boy in a boy band consistently being told like
exactly who you are,
and like
what to do.
warning of the things I'm about to say, but like constantly being told like you guys are gay, you're dressing gay, you act gay, like all those things. Like it's imagine you're someone that's struggling with your sexuality in that position. Which I'm going to jump ahead. I'll go back to the Larry thing. But the other point I wanted to make was Fifth Harmony also had an issue with this at the time, that people believe Lauren Jarecki, Camila Cabello had the same situation, that they were in a secret relationship. Lauren Jarecki has come out multiple times while still in the group saying, you guys need to stop. This is inappropriate. This makes me feel gross. I hate this. Please stop. And they wouldn't stop. Now Post Group has done interviews saying that since she is a bisexual woman, how predatory they wrote her made her feel so disgusting and ashamed of herself, because in the fan fiction she was always written as the person that was trying to turn Camila gay, or like the predator, or the person that's always the aggressor in the relationship. So aside from just your writing their relationship platonically as sexual and creating this like weird tension between them, you're also turning her into someone that she does not want to be. And although you can see that it's not real, like they're different people, the character that somebody made up and her, you're still using her name and her likeness.
Exactly. That's what I mean, is that that's just so uncomfortable and like gross.
Yeah.
You know, like especially without like this person's consent.
Or
It's
especially
gross.
when this person has said multiple times
Don't
and
do it.
very publicly, please stop.
Yeah.
So back to let me reverse back to what I was saying about my Larry Styleson thing. Very famous scene, I guess now, from Euphoria season 1. As Maddie said a few minutes ago, Kat, the character, wrote fan fiction. I think in like one of the early episodes.
I think it was like episode 2. It was her introduction, I think, like episode 2, episode 3.
Yeah, Kat is writing a Larry Styleson fan fiction, which, first of all, Sam Levinson, how did you know about that?
Yeah.
Sam. Who told you about that?
Sam.
Are
you a directioner?
Really quick, he had to have read something to get some inspiration. Like, he has a Wattpad. He opened it, looked up Larry Styleson fan fiction, got some inspiration. Whatever, I'm gonna let it go. But I'm just saying.
I'm not letting it go. I'm not letting it go.
They
weirdo.
have her writing it, which is one thing. They also had a very graphic, I would say very graphic, animated sex scene of her fan fiction.
It's also sorry, I was just gonna say, like, the fact that they say that it's them. Not like they make up a band, they make it, like, at least like make up something that it's like alluding that it's, you know, supposed to be these people. They fully were like, she wrote One Direction fan fiction,
and the animation is of them.
It's literally them, like literally performing sexual acts on each other, and you're like,
oh my god. And also like a show like Euphoria, when like the third episode had like 100 and something dicks in it.
Yeah.
Where like this, I was like,
we were like,
that's allowed on TV?
Yeah.
Without their consent. How do we know it doesn't have their consent? The news that this scene was coming out happened before the show premiered, or this episode premiered, and Louis Tomlinson himself tweeted, "They do not have my consent to do this. This is inappropriate and I do not approve of this." And it was still aired on TV.
Yeah. And like on HBO. Like HBO, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's a big network.
I mean, like,
just
the problem is fan fiction at like its core, I think, is like wholesome. Right? I think it like most of them have like kind of pure intentions of like, we just want to imagine what it would be like to be in a friendship or a relationship with this person that we really enjoy.
Yeah.
And I don't think it has like necessarily malicious or like malicious intentions, but clearly it is affecting a lot of subjects of the fan fictions. I think of like Shawn Mendes. How many times, I'm sure, I haven't really looked into it, but I'm sure there's some inappropriate things written about him and his sexuality on Wattpad or Tumblr or wherever if you want to look it up.
There's probably thousands just of that.
The beginning of this, I literally said I searched Maddie B raps on Wattpad and I found stuff. And I'm sure if I had looked longer, I would have found more inappropriate things.
Well, do you remember, actually wrapping it back to Hamilton, do you remember there was a whole sensation of they were writing fan fiction about the founding fathers, that they were gay for each other?
It was the fan fiction multiverse.
Literally, that's the WCU, baby. That is the WCU. Yeah.
WCU. Oh, Wattpad. I was like, wonderful.
No, the like, Wattpad. Cinematic universe.
Yeah. And they had like their drawings where like, I'll never forget, there was one picture that I saw with like a fan art that was Thomas Jefferson. It was Daveed Diggs as Thomas Jefferson.
Yes.
And they were trans and bisexual.
Yes.
Do you remember that? Because that was like another big phenomenon.
Yes,
is they were all within the LGBT community as well.
Yes.
Which I think is just a sign of how much representation is still needed, because people are like, fan fiction, they're writing their own representation for you so that I feel like they're represented in media when they're not.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
But again, I think Hamilton's a bit of a weird choice to pick the founding fathers to base that off.
Right.
You
know?
It's
like a weird one where I was like, that was the one, but you guys, you know,
I'm like, I like Hamilton. I understand the appeal, but I think
at least
a bit of an odd choice. But all right.
I feel like the most appropriate fan fiction is when it's fan fiction of already fictional things, like Harry Potter fan fiction. Yeah, Twilight.
Exactly.
Which, fun fact, Twilight was originally fan fiction. So no,
50 Shades of Grey was a fan fiction of Twilight. Yeah, that's literally how it came to be.
But fan fiction is harmless. Fan fiction does not obviously prove numbers in the box office.
No. I don't know. There was something I was gonna say about fan fiction. Now I'm forgetting. Huh. Sorry. I had something that I was gonna say and I was holding it in my head. Now I forgot.
I mean, I think looking back, I think there's an important, when you're a teenager, you're going through a lot and you have a celebrity or a character that you really identify with or brings you comfort. To be able to read something on a slightly more intimate level is important. If not, you can't lie and say that these girls or boys aren't thinking it. They're not pretending it's there already.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's almost like when you get into a band or whatever, and you watch their videos on YouTube or their interviews or whatever, right? You're just trying to get to know that person as a person.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the next step. So I get that. I can understand that it's a next personal connection that you can't have in real life, but yeah.
And I'm not saying don't read it if this is something that brings you comfort.
No, I'm not trying to tell people what to do, what not to do. I'm just saying my own personal thoughts on the matter. You know, I don't care what you do. As long as you're respecting this person, that's all that matters. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Smut.
Go off, queen.
That's not that. I was going to say that's the next line up, and that, I don't know, that makes me
the smut writers, and again, not to bring it back to the One Direction era, but that's the only era that I'm I guess I would say familiar with or I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Those bitches were disgusting.
They were nasty.
I saw a TikTok. I'm gonna be honest. I saw a TikTok of this guy being like, when you thought you were a freak, but then your girlfriend wrote One Direction fan fiction.
No. Yeah, I feel smut, there's all the different things, right? Imagines, POVs, one shots, whatever. It's lining up. Then there's the novel type. Then there's
that was the thing, is you could have the subculture of smut fan fiction. So you could have a POV that's smut.
Yeah.
You could have oh my god, smut's a gross word.
I know. Smut.
It's way grosser than moist.
Yeah, moist doesn't really like bother me that much. I don't know.
Smut.
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 It almost sounds like a dog. Like you're like talking to a dog. Smut.
Smut.
You know? That's like what that feels like. What it sounds like.
Yeah, again, like at the end of the day, fan fiction's going to exist whether you like it or not. It's going to be around. People are, if they're not writing it, they're thinking about it or talking about it.
Yeah. Also, another interesting way to look at fan fiction is like people who are writing it, a lot of them just really love writing. Right?
Yeah,
and this is just someone that they can easily make a character out of because it's, you know, right there in front of them. They don't have to imagine a lot. So.
You know what else? It wasn't fan fiction, but you know what else was a Wattpad book?
What?
The Kissing Booth 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. Yes! I love the Kissing Booth.
And that's another great example of like, it's just fun. Like where there's no pressure. We're just like having a good time. And
it's like a bad, good movie.
And that's why, like, a couple weeks ago when we were drunk and I was like, girl, we need to look up fan fiction. You're just like, this is just like fun. Like, we're just like, this is silly.
Yeah. Like, let me just say, whenever we watch or like do anything that involves fan fiction, I feel like we always have some sort of alcohol involved. Like when we watched The Kissing Booth, we had like drinks, wine, snacks.
I would watch The Kissing Booth sober. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I would too. I'm just saying. I feel like whenever we like are like, oh my god, we have to break out the fan fiction. We have to break out the Kissing Booth. We always have some sort of alcohol in our bodies. Mm-hmm. It just makes the experience more fun.
You know, you don't have to be under an influence. Yeah. You can have it without, or you could.
You could. Either way.
But I think that pretty much wraps up our talk on fan fiction then. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I have a couple questions for the audience if they'd like to answer.
Let me ask the audience.
Let me ask them first.
Let me ask the audience.
Did you read fan fiction either back in the day or currently? I need to know. What do you think of it? Yeah, and what are your thoughts?
What do you think?
Now, either years later or as you're listening after our hearing our thoughts on it.
Yeah. Did we sway your opinion on it? Did you stand your ground and be like, no?
Do you agree? Do you disagree?
Or, yeah, you guys are right.
Yeah.
Or, no, you guys are fucking wrong.
Does fan fiction freak you out? Or do you feel like it's
really
innocent?
Enjoy it?
Yeah.
What are the thoughts? I'd like to hear everyone's thoughts on this because I feel like it's something that I don't talk about enough with people.
I think people don't really like. There's like this weird shame behind it, and I get because there's a lot of controversy and it's inappropriate, and like certain versions and stories are not appropriate and not respectful.
Yeah,
that I get. But for the most part, like we're lying. We're lying if we're saying we are not aware of it. We're lying if you're gonna say that like, no, I would never think about a celebrity or like a celebrity person I have a crush on that way. You're lying. Don't lie to yourself.
You're lying.
Don't lie to yourself. Don't. It ages you.
It ages you?
It does. Don't even lie. Because the second I honestly feel like I'm honest with myself about things, like I look better.
Well, because then you're not stressed about something.
Yeah, so don't lie to yourself about fan fiction.
You're lying.
You're lying. Don't be a liar.
You mean you were lying?
I'm not. Tell you that much.
Anyone get that reference?
I got it.
Thanks.
But if you want to answer our questions, the best place to probably answer them is either commenting below on the video if you're watching or sending us a message on Instagram, TikTok, or commenting on our post there.
Also, you can follow us. Our Instagram is at thepop.podcast and our TikTok is at thepop.pod. Everything is there. We're all linked. You can find everything. Yeah. You want us to leave you a link for Wattpad? What y'all want?
What y'all want? I was so prepared to whip out my the Wattpad app I downloaded and like try to find something to read.
I was gonna say if people like this one, we can have a little read-see.
Which I would just like to shout out to the Greta Van Fleet girlies. Is the other night when we were looking through it, I would like to say they are like in the beginning of their One Direction era fan fictions. I can feel it coming for them.
Listen, I know that like Greta Van Fleet and One Direction are completely different vibes, but I feel like it's like they have the same sort of there's a pipeline. They have the same sort of fan base.
There's a pipeline there.
It's like One Direction, 5 Seconds of Summer, same kind of pipeline to Greta Van Fleet.
And I hope that the Greta Van Fleet girlies learn their lessons of respecting their idols, I guess is the way you should put it.
Yeah.
When the line is crossed, but also have your fun.
I feel like
I know about Demon Jake. I know what's going on.
yeah.
Don't lie to yourself.
If you don't listen to Greta Van Fleet or you're not a Greta Van Fleet fan, you heard that right.
Yeah,
You heard it
I'm
right.
aware of what's going on. I won't tell on
heard
you.
it right.
Go ahead.
Right.
This is what I mean. Where all of a sudden things get interesting and you're like, who came up with this? Who thought of like demon?
That's what I mean.
Who
I'm
was
like, who the fuck
ooh,
wrote
like
that?
possession? Like, okay, creativity.
That's what
I
I
see
mean.
you.
I'm just interested. Who
Like
the fuck
more
had
than
that
just
idea?
like, I don't know, sex trafficking fan fictions that people wrote. Like, let's be real, that's what they were. But like, come on, like creativity. Give me something.
They're like
Come
12
on.
years old writing like, yeah, I just sold you to these wonderful
Yeah.
men downstairs.
Who
Honey,
told them what sex trafficking was?
the thing is, like, the way that they'd write it, they'd be like, I woke up and my beautiful blue orbs looked in the mirror and I brushed out my flopsy ponytail
And I put it in
walked
like a
down the
messy
stairs.
bun.
And my mom said, hey, honey, we need to talk. We haven't been doing very well, and I've been having to make up some money. I owed the bank or something, right?
Yeah.
And then she's like, what? What do you mean? Mom said, I had to let you go.
It's either that or like mom
this is your new
hates you.
family.
And like
Yeah.
mom is like, she's like, get out of my house. I
Yeah.
sold you so I could buy alcohol. Like something
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's like two different extremes, but like it's always they get introduced and they'd be like, hello, hey love, get in the car.
Hi,
Like,
we're One Direction.
hey,
and we
I'm Harry.
own you.
I'm Zane. I'm Louie. How are you? Like, it's like they'd always be like, they'd say like with a smirk or like you know
Yeah.
from what
Or
I've
just, like,
seen,
orbs
like it's just
peered
like
out at me.
with a smirk. Yeah,
Oh,
peered out from me from under his curls or like something. Yeah.
You know what I think there should be?
What?
The pop fan fiction.
Don't say that because we have friends who will write it.
Do
we
it.
have friends who would write it.
Do it. Do it. And I will see you here next week for another episode.
For our fan fiction.
For our fan fiction. Well,
Okay.
besties, we will see you next week either for our fan fiction or a whole new episode.
A whole new episode.
You'll have to find out.
I guess you'll never know unless you come back next week.
Unless you're subscribed.
Yeah. Gotta subscribe. Hit that like button. Hit the like button. And we're
stalling to make sure you had time to subscribe before the video ends.
Yes, yes.
Or the recording ends. So
if you haven't, do it now.
I'm going to give you 10 more seconds.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I know you see my bestie change for me and be so wonderful. Ding, 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 bye besties.